Now you're on.
Test
Okay.
1, 2.
It is 5:30, so we are going to go ahead and get started with the meeting. And the first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We are going to start with introductions. Mr. Scaletta,
Bill Scaletta.
Superintendent Greg Eating.
Rachel Wade.
Jason Beckrow.
Lori Fine Koenig.
Scott Allen.
And before we approve the agenda tonight, we do want to flip-flop the order of a couple of things. We want to move the bond bid approval up before the good news about our schools so that our presenter can leave when he's done. So if there aren't any other questions or comments about the agenda, I would accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on to approval of consent action items, minutes from our previous meeting and our financial statements and bills. Are there any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
And this is a roll call vote. So Mr. Scaletta?
Aye.
Dr. Beckrow?
Aye.
Mrs. Fine Koenig?
Aye.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
And I vote aye. All right. Then that moves us on to our bond bid approval.
Now, I will just have to say that I don't think Dave here is going to present from OAK isn't, like he doesn't want to stay for good news. I don't think that's it. I know he has a commitment back in Kalamazoo, I think, or somewhere at, like, in about an hour. So we're going to give him some time right now, and off we go.
Alrighty, thank you for letting me adjust your schedule a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
So before we kind of go into the bond numbers here, just wanted to give a quick presentation on what we're looking at for work coming this summer as part of the bond campaign for the 2024 year. What you see on the screen here is Hollywood Elementary, just kind of a synopsis of what we're going to be doing. The big item here is the air conditioning in the multipurpose gymnasium. We'll be removing the existing air handler unit there and replacing it with new to get air conditioning in that. Remodeling the main office for improved security and sightlines. And then we'll be finishing up as well kind of the remaining of the interior doors that you guys had started that process previously. Also with that, we will be doing ADA upgrades around drinking fountains and maintaining toilet stalls for grab bars and things like that. Again, this is at Hollywood. Roosevelt has a lot of the same requirements that we'll be doing this summer. One of the additional items for that is some new flooring in the MDF room, as well as replacing the old porcelain tile or metal panel that's on the outside of the building with a new metal product. So that is kind of the one item that Roosevelt has that Hollywood doesn't. And then for Stewart, kind of that same idea of getting air conditioning into the gymnasiums, finishing up the replacement of the interior doors, and upgrading ADA items around the reception and drinking fountains and toilet stalls. So those are really the items that were in bid pack one was at the elementary schools. But one big item we've been working on with the team is the middle school parking lot and a new drive lane. So wanted to bring that to the board's attention. That's going to be upcoming. The big change you'll see here, kind of on the right of this sheet, is a new drive lane coming off of Washington Avenue, which will allow kind of take away from what the traffic backup that's been happening on John Beers. Along with that, you'll see at the bottom of the screen here is kind of an increased turn lane off of John Beers for that. Going back up to the Washington Avenue, that drive lane is a larger loop to get cars off of the road and kind of get them sequenced for drop off and pickup. And additionally, that has another layer of parking. So that's kind of a synopsis of what's to come, kind of a big ticket item there. I don't know, Greg, if you had any.
No, I just
other
wanted
thoughts?
to point out a couple of things. First of all, this stages approximately 4 times the number of cars right now off the roadway onto our property, which I think is a good start anyway. Second, it's a little bit farther than maybe it feels on the map away from the houses on the lower corner there. And there's a berm that will be put in place so that there's not, to try to diffuse traffic and lights and things like that from cars. So trying to be good neighbors with those folks yet as well.
Correct.
So.
And I know one of the things that when Facilities and Finance, when you presented this, looking at that plot of land that we now own, wanting to make sure that we kept as much of it whole as possible for future purposes. So where this was placed was very strategic for a number of reasons, but also definitely making sure that we don't bisect that land in a way that down the road we want to undo because we've got other plans.
Correct. Yeah, that's what brought kind of that drive lane to the south to leave a variety of options for the district moving forward.
Like the other thing I'm not sure you mentioned, Dave, was that it actually increases the parking spaces on the north side of the building as well. So it actually extends the parking lot out to it would be the east a little bit. And then that drive would go into the land that we just purchased right now, all the way above and around. So,
Correct.
it's going to be increased parking.
Correct. Yeah, it's for
As
that
well.
north lot. It's almost doubling the existing parking that you have now.
Yeah, which is excellent. We think that about 2/3 of the cars typically get dropped off and picked up on the north side of the building and about 1/3 off the south side. So this takes hopefully about 2/3 of the traffic away from John Beers is I think the goal. The thought
Correct.
anyway. So
How will that be divided? I mean, by grade level, or have you thought
it's not really like a division right now because kids have parents have in multiple grade levels.
Okay.
So I think it's just really what's the least busy right now of what they go to, and then they get kind of a pattern going. So I don't know.
Also, sometimes depending on which direction you want to turn when you're
Yeah.
coming out,
Yeah.
because one of them you can only turn right.
Okay.
And will
Supposed
that
to.
continue to be the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, I was going to jump in there and say, yeah, so kind of in the south lot, you'd be pulling in this way, but you're only turning right out. The new drive lane coming off of Washington would give you the ability to have a turn lane each way.
Gotcha. Yep. Perfect.
Well, that adds a turn lane coming in off of John Beers there, right, a little bit on the shoulder,
Yeah,
Correct.
new addition.
Correct.
that red spot on the
Yep.
bottom there. Yep. Yep. Allison or I know Miss Toothman, Miss Arison, do you guys have any additional? Ah!
We're all very excited. I had to drive by it last week when I was delivering cookies. I was like,
Yeah, it is by far the busiest spot. The summer. Yeah, that's the plan. This was an addition, so this wasn't necessarily, in the bond language. Just our bond language does provide us the opportunity to do things like this, but this wasn't, initially thought of. But once we started tackling the project, it was like, if we're going to make a change, we might as well do it now and do the right thing, we think, now as well. Additional cost-wise, it's probably about $500,000 additional cost to this project. And one of the things we thought we would do initially is not redo the very front paving of the middle school, because that's in pretty good shape right now for where the bus drop-off and pickup is. Save that for a later time, we think. So that's one area. And then we have a couple of roof situations that schedule-wise might not be in this bond either. So maybe a couple of those roofs can be pushed out a little bit as well. So it's part of the idea. And we're finding that our bid numbers are coming in decently.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. That's what we heard at Facilities and Finance, that some of the numbers are coming in lower than anyone expected, which is helpful.
Yes, so that's some good news we've been seeing kind of across the state, and in other districts as well. As fingers crossed, we feel like we've kind of got a handle on this exponential inflation increase, that starting to level off, that we can get a better grasp on how we're seeing budgets and things like that. So it was all great news to see. You try to project and budget the best you can, and we're seeing things trending in a good direction at the moment.
Excellent.
So with that, yeah, on bid pack 1, we've had 6 bid categories here. As far as that elementary package, you'll see the total of the contractor cost here of $1,127,514. At this time, I'd like to kind of read this motion for the board to approve. I move that Owen Ames Kimball be authorized to issue notice of pending award in the amount indicated to contractors and suppliers listed below, pending confirmation that all requirements of the contract documents have been met. Furthermore, that upon receipt by Owen Ames Kimball of the appropriate documents, contracts be awarded to these contractors and suppliers by Lakeshore Public Schools.
Board members, any questions?
It appears to me those were all the low bids, correct?
Yes, these were all the low bidders.
Okay.
Any other specifics?
If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Support.
And this is a roll call vote, so Mr. Scaletta?
Aye.
Dr. Beckrow?
Aye.
Mrs. Von Koenig?
Aye.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for
Appreciate
being here tonight. Very helpful. I don't think we started off by saying that we're down 2 board members tonight either. So
No.
Mr. Ott could not be here. He has a sickness in his family that he has to attend to tonight. And Kevin Bushu called us this afternoon saying that he wasn't feeling good either. So we said, keep your germs home.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now moving on to the good news about our schools. This is probably the only thing that could be more exciting than repaving the middle school parking lot situation, is hearing from our students and some of the awesome things that are happening.
So we are going to start with Stewart Elementary, who is going to talk about our letters training. Melissa, do you want to?
I have one in my pocket. It's thinking.
There we go.
Here we go.
I'm Melissa Rusko, and I am the interventionist at Stewart Elementary School, and I'm here to talk to you about some powerful professional development that 13 staff members in the elementary setting are participating in that directly and positively impacts our students, and it's called LETTERS training, and it stands for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. And again, it's professional development. It's not a program. So what is the dedication to LETTERS? 13 elementary teachers approximately have committed to a 2-year commitment.
Wow.
It is 8 units of study where each unit has 8 sessions, and approximately 30 hours are dedicated to each unit. That 30 hours involves 2 3-hour live sessions, reading the manuals. Amy Pietragala will show you the manuals. They're hefty.
Oh.
Online work, quizzes and tests, reflecting on your learning in a journal, and applying what is learned through a portfolio. So what we're going to do, instead of you investing the 240 hours that those 13 staff members are investing, we're going to give you the Cliff's Notes version of what we've been through. So the first thing that we did is we really learned about the simple view of reading. What do we need to do to help our students learn to become confident readers? And basically what this is saying is that they need word recognition and language comprehension. If you only have one and not the other, great math up there. Those people who know me know math is in my heart too. 1 times 0 is 0, we're not going to get reading comprehension. If they're like, yeah, but they can really understand the language, but they're not very good at decoding the words, still not going to get that reading comprehension. And if we say, well, they're pretty good at word recognition, they're pretty good at language comprehension, still not going to get that reading comprehension. So that's the simple view of reading. Now we'll go into the technical part of reading. So a huge portion of our learning was about the brain and how the brain learns to read. And right there in the front of our brain, that is the part of our brain that develops first. That's where we hear sounds and language. And in the back of our brain is where we need to learn the symbols to those sounds and language. And our job as parents, teachers, is to build a bridge from the front of the brain to the back of the brain. And that's only done with repetitive practice. So knowing how students learn to read drives how you respond to them when they're reading. So part of processing is they need to understand the phonological part of our language. There are 44 phonemes in the English language, but there's 26 letters. That's the orthographic part of our processing. And you can see the arrows are going across. That's where we get our phonics. There are many terms involved in our study. I will not give you all of those. But basically, we need to make the connection between the sounds that we're hearing and the letter symbols. And then once we make that connection, we then have to put meaning to the words that are coming and then driving context into that. Here is a more advanced view of reading. This is the Scarborough's reading rope, and it's going to show you all of the things that we do as teachers to build language comprehension, all of the things that we need to do as teachers to build word recognition, and those items come together to build a skilled reader. So we are developing vocabulary, phonological awareness, decoding, sight word recognition, all of that within the tools that we have in our classroom. So one thing that we've been doing is, I guess my big thing I would take away from letters, and you'll see some testimonials, and then Amy Pietrogallo was going to share as well, is intentionality. Intentionality to everything that we do with our students. So one thing that we're trying to do is really get them to understand that the consonants are some of our phonemes that we do, but that we have to articulate them correctly. So sometimes students have a trouble between p and b because our mouth is formed correctly. So then you have a conversation about how p is an unvoiced sound. You have them put their hands on their throat, p, and it doesn't vibrate, but b is a voice sound. And so that's how they can really tell the difference between p and b, since our mouth is making the same motions. Then we have fun with Vowel Valley. That's what we call that. And as you can see, it starts forming the mouth, and in the middle is when your mouth is open wide for that great short letter vowel ah. And really being intentional about that, because the placement of your mouth is oftentimes how students can determine the difference between eh and I. Eh, your lips are tighter. I, your lips are looser. And then here's, again, intentionality. We often say that English is a very hard language to learn, and I'm not saying it's not. But if we truly teach patterns and this knowledge to our students, only about 4% of all words in print today are truly irregular. If we are intentional in what we teach our kids. Like a hard C sounds like k, and a hard G sounds like g, and you'll find those in words with A, O, and U. But the soft C and the soft G, J will be found in words E, I, and Y with the vowel by it. And if you're like me, then you're probably sitting here trying to figure a rule breaker out. If it's a rule breaker, then it's not part of the English language and it was adapted from a different language. Or it's a shorter version of a bigger word. Which leads me to this slide. Again, intentional teaching. We want to be teaching kids the derivative of language. So English language is made of Anglo-Saxon, Norman French, Latin, and Greek. And it's visible in the way words are spelled and structured. That's why a lot of our upper elementary standards have talking about roots of a word. And often why, if you ever watch the spelling bee, they ask the origin of the word because they've studied the origin and they know what certain words come out of that origin. So this all leads to fluency, where our students are reading with accuracy, a good rate, and prosody, which is reading with a proper intonation, phrasing, and expression. But we focus on fluency because it's not an end in itself, but a critical gateway to comprehension. Fluent reading frees cognitive resources to process the meaning of what is being read. We want to give our students as many tools as we can to read those words fluently so they can put more energy into understanding vocabulary within the text. So this was very interesting. They're talking about how many words a student learns. If they're knowing like a root word, they're saying if they know the word bake, then they would know bakery, baked, bakes. And one thing that we've been learning is that you want to try to introduce 10 words a week to students and own it. That's where you really talk about the word. You talk about the morphology of the word, where did the word come from, the meaning of the word, how would you apply it, and you can get those words out of passages that they've read within the classroom. So again, intentionality to really helping our learners be confident, robust readers. To the ultimate goal of comprehension. So we want our students to really not just have surface level knowledge, but text-based knowledge. We want them crawling into that book, enjoying the book, really getting into what they're reading. So testimonials, 13 staff members have shared how they feel about it, and what really is resonating with a lot of them is just it's a strong foundation of understanding how kids learn to read, and that knowing that is our ability to then respond to them in a way that is meaningful and impactful. This letters has provided the why behind the science of teaching reading, enlightening us regarding the pathways and connections needed for young learners. Really open our eyes to the why. Again, it is the why behind it. And I mean, this is my 27th year with Lakeshore. This is probably one of the most impactful professional developments I've ever participated in. Letters has opened my eyes more to those with reading struggles and how to adjust instruction for those students. So Amy is going to come on up and speak, and if you have any questions, we can answer. But one thing on behalf of the other members, staff members that put in testimonials is just thanking the Lakeshore administration for supporting this. They have given us, on those days that we have those 3-hour live meetings, we can take the day, do that, do some of the book work, online work on the rest of that day. So we appreciate that support. And I don't have more on there because that's where I'm at with the letters training at this point. So I have 2 more units. There's different cohorts that are starting. So there's some that are, Amy and I are in the same cohort, and then there's another cohort that started after, and then another cohort. So we're kind of in different places, which is nice because we support each other then.
I'll just add thank you, Melissa and Amy coming up too, but for all your work. This is an incredible amount of work. I've kind of watched and paid attention because like next door to me last year is Dr. Powell, and this year is Natalie, and how much work they're putting into it too. And it's like, wow, you guys are like always like on that computer watching the training and just crazy stuff. So thank you.
Yes. I just wanted to thank you all. I wanted to kind of focus on return on investment. Melissa, you did an awesome job explaining everything. But Michigan had a grant, I believe is how it worked, for all of our teachers that wanted to take this course. And then Lakeshore and Julie Powell jumped on it. So several of us started it, and then it's just gained momentum. One of the things I've enjoyed, Natalie Masserata and I did some of the live trainings together, and that just really builds support, and it's common language. And then going down from that, Lakeshore giving us the time to do that during school hours, and not all districts have done that, as we've talked with people around the state. It gives us that luxury and an honor to be able to be a student again after a lot of years since college and advanced degrees. So I think it just multiplies the learning and ultimately impacts the students. This year it's fun because a lot of our teachers in our building have taken some of the letters training, and you can see it in their classrooms, and then when they get to me, which sometimes is that third dip, the kids know the routine, they know the rules, and they're not so afraid of these words, and it's just been an honor and a privilege, and I thank you for your support of us.
All right, questions?
Of the 240 hours that you have put into this, is that like the amount when you're done, or how much you've put in so far?
It would be how much we put in when we're done, because it's
Okay,
about
and
30
that's-
hours per unit.
Okay, and that's individually, right? So how much of that 240 hours are you being provided on school time?
It would be 2 days per unit, so 16 days, which 8 hours, so
Okay.
128 hours, so it's 16 times 8, 128 hours. Had to do some little math there.
So do you feel like that's sufficient and that you've been given enough time?
I think we could all say a little bit more time would be great, but we're making it work a lot because we're lovers of learning. I mean, personally, on personal level, I've read brain research for years. Just, it's very fascinating to me. So, yeah, I mean, time is always something that we would love to have, but we also know the importance of being at school and with the students and applying what we're learning as well.
And those 13 teachers that are involved with that, is that all from Stewart, or are they from different?
All 3 buildings.
Okay. And then what is the plan to broaden that out, to educate, to peer educate, or how was that envisioned, do you think?
I think that's a discussion to have in the future. Last year, I was asked to be a trainer of letters from the letters company, and that's being researched because there seems to be a little, how does that exactly work? What does that mean? Who is their employee exactly? So I think that's something coming further down the road. We're just trying to do the coursework.
Yeah.
So during the staff meeting, like anytime that we can have a discussion, the big thing for me, the most impactful part was how the brain learned to read and the importance of making sure kids can hear sounds. So lots of conversation with the Young Five, the kindergarten teachers on phonemic awareness and how can we bring this more into the classroom. We've trained parapros in knowing phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, and teaching phonics so that when we're in our 30-minute intervention block, they are also trained to be able to respond to students' needs that they see. So there's that type of stuff, sorry.
I just want to add one thing that really was a big thing I've taken from it is that learning to read is not a natural process, even though some people think, oh, you just immerse them and they are fine. Learning to talk is natural, but learning to read, we need to explicitly teach that. Sure, some kids just learn it, but we just are better off as humans to know all those things behind it, to take some of those big stake tests, and it just opens up the world to the kids. So,
And will there ever be an opportunity for you to share some of these tidbits of advice to parents?
Fortunately, in last year, in the communications that went home at Stewart, I was spotlighted on a couple of spots, and I did put that, like the trick about CK and CK, when to use those. that was put out there. But part of being a school that receives Title I funding is that parent education piece. And we're trying to figure out the best way to get that information out and to encourage parents to come in and hear that information.
It sounds like Natalie and you guys have done a marvelous job, and I'm wondering if there's anything else that we as a board can do to support you? Good, because I'm excited about this.
Yes.
I think
I am
with,
too.
with this knowledge, we know that there are other instructional tools that are needed to really help us deliver this knowledge to our students. So we're in the process of working through what is our best instructional tool for teaching our students ELA, all of it. So one other thing that is really quite interesting is that decoding is sounding out a word, encoding is writing the word. And we've noticed a lot of students are really good at decoding but not encoding. This really hits both. So if we're teaching, you know, when you hear the long A sound in the middle, it's spelled AI. When you hear the long A sound at the end, it's spelled AY. Then you apply that to writing. It's right there. And in small group, you can coach and counsel right in the minute. Coach and correct right in the moment. So that's like right there, instant feedback.
I'm curious how you can apply this to, again, the level of sophistication that you presented here and in your learning, right? You're teaching us, we're learning. How that will impact, you made a statement about your ability to kind of clue into, you have readers at all sorts of levels, and your teaching now is being informed more by this, especially for students who are traditionally would have been labeled as a struggling reader, but you have more tools in your toolbox now to help them. So I'd be curious, I guess a couple things. First, could we maybe schedule time to do a deeper dive? Because I think a lot of us would like to learn a lot more. But how is it impacting like reading recovery? And then as the students go from elementary to middle school and beyond. And I'm even thinking about like applications for adult learners too. Maybe the question then is next steps and stuff like that.
I think we're excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys for putting in all the time. And I guess for the board and for the community, I mean, this is all the cutting edge learning models, right? This is all brand new. So we're keeping everyone right at the forefront of what's newest for everyone, right? So I think to your point, I mean, it's just the beginning of what we're going to see as it all being new.
I would have loved to have that as a parent when my kids were just starting to read. Yeah.
I'm going to add just a little bit for free to you guys to think about after the meeting. So Melissa talked about the rule with CK and K with one short vowel in a one-syllable word. That also applies to when you use CH or TCH, or GE or DGE, and also double F, double S, and double Z. So think about those words on your way home.
One more quick question. How were the 12 teachers? 13. How were they chosen? Did they opt in, or was it okay, so it was these folks.
Well, they're starting new cohorts all the time, and as people have capacity to take on this large commitment, they're slowly jumping on the train because it is a lot of hours and a lot of work, but it's well worth it. But it does take the right time in their life because it is outside hours from the school day too.
So I think the cool thing recently is that they created administrator cohorts. So like I'm joining the next administrator cohort, and instead of having as much time as what they're committed to, I was signed up at the beginning to be in their cohort, and I was like, oh, I can't do all of this, right? But they've narrowed it so that administrators can now get this learning too. Not to the depth that they're receiving, but enough to make us like powerful instructional leaders as well. So they're doing a lot to try to provide this learning to as many people as possible.
The
Really sad they didn't have that option for me.
So I've heard you all talk about the time involved in this, and someone said to me a couple of weeks ago, time is our most precious commodity, and the things that we invest our time in are the relationships that will develop, whether those are relationships with people or relationships with things or relationships with new sets of knowledge. And so the fact that you're committing the time into this means that this is a relationship, if you will, that is going to develop and be a benefit to our current and future students. So thank you for making that commitment. And I'm not at all surprised that you were able to work a math equation into your presentation about reading.
Thank you so much. Well done. I think some of those questions came right from our board workshop that we were just at. That was kind of fun. That was awesome. We have our second good news, which is members from the DECA team. And I see Miss Jenke back there.
Hello, LEF. I'm Manish Burry, the president of Lakeshore DECA, and I would like to start off by thanking you all for the continued support you've given us as a chapter. Over the past 3 years, I was given the opportunity to watch a club with under 10 people grow into such a big and crucial part of what our school is today. I feel like DECA as a whole gives students the opportunity to learn about the future of the corporate world and immerses them in what they will become in the future. Through conferences and training programs, we have maintained a very excellent, I'm blanking, sorry guys. We have maintained an excellent chapter. And I would like to thank you guys, all of you guys, for the funding and the approval we need to succeed as a chapter. Our most recent conference was at Michigan State University in East Lansing, where we attended the State Leadership Conference, and we would like to talk about that today.
Hello, I'm Jocelyn Schmaltz, and I wanted to talk about the dinner that we had the first night we got there. So we were divided into groups of about 10 people from kids were all over the state, were put into groups, and we had one business professional that got to sit down and have dinner with us. And they really just shared their experience of working in business and all of their advice they had for us, and it was super beneficial to everybody. And as Ms. Jenke always says, we got to network with other kids from around the state, and we even made some good friends.
Hi guys, I'm Jack Carlisle. I'm a Marketing 2 student in DECA. First and foremost, as Anish kind of talked about, I would like to thank you guys for all of the funding and approval you do of our DECA trips. The experience and knowledge we gain in these trips cannot be replicated with any other activity. At our state leadership conference, prior Michigan State football player and Super Bowl champion Benny Fowler spoke to us about leadership and the importance of working towards your goals. He made it clear that your goals do not come naturally and you must work towards them with intent. It was fascinating to hear about his journey and how he learned leadership skills from NFL greats such as Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Peyton Manning, whom he all played with during his career. He was very inspiring, and we couldn't have heard his wise words without you guys. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Natalia Nahara, and I'm currently a junior at the high school, and I'm in my second year of DECA. When Ms. Jenke announced this opportunity to go to East Lansing at this leadership conference, I knew I wanted to go right away because the students had such an amazing experience last year. And after the keynote speaker, we got to attend breakout sessions, and each student attending was able to pre-register for these breakout sessions, and I chose Business of Hospitality and Supply Chain Management. And each Broad brings in business professionals to speak and they give presentations to each of the students at each of the breakout sessions, and it's a great opportunity to dive deeper into business and marketing. And this leadership conference was overall a great experience. I had a great time interacting with other students and business professionals from across the state. These off-campus opportunities are few and far between, but we know that without the board approving these trips, they would not be possible. So thank you on behalf of our chapter for granting us with these experiences. Me and the other 3 DECA members behind me will be taking on the state competition in March, which you guys have already approved. So thank you so much for your generosity.
All right, they already walked away from the mic, but were there any questions?
I just have a comment. I just really appreciate the leadership of Tanya Janke and the good work that she does. Thank you.
Here, here.
Yeah. Woo. And our third of 3 good news about our schools is Mr. Haygood and the engine build team. Mr. Haygood, I'm excited that you can also participate in letters training coming up.
Yeah,
So
I
that'll
look
be
forward to
excellent.
that. So I brought a few of the guys with me. We are a 5-person team. One of our students is from Berrien Springs as a shared time student, and then one of them is at work. And a couple of these guys came from practice and work. As you can tell, they're wearing their Sunday best. So we just returned from the national finals in Indianapolis this past weekend, and previously in 1st of November, we went out to the SEMA show in Las Vegas to qualify, where we took first place. And I think our average time was 24 something, right at 25 minutes, which is pretty good. And then at Indianapolis, where we competed in the Elite 10, which is basically the showdown for the finals. We came away with a 6th place out of the 10 teams out of about 40 teams total in the nation. So this is a first-year team, so that's a pretty good showing for us. But so yeah, that's kind of the good news, I guess. I don't know if you guys want to ask them things, but.
You want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, please.
I'm Zachary Meacham, and I work on the front of the motor.
All right.
I'm Thomas McMichael. I work on the driver's side of the motor.
Hi, I'm Justin White. I am the team captain of the team, and I want to start my little spiel here, thanking you guys for all your guys' support, and I work on the back of the motor. Thank you.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
congratulations.
Very good. Nice job.
Hey,
Also, I forgot to mention, they did, so by finishing 6th, they came away with $7,500 in scholarships per school, which is about 4 or 5 schools that participate, so over $30,000 each. So that's
Wow.
pretty solid. And they can stack them over the 2 years. So this group's going to stick together another year, hopefully, and we'll kind of make a little run at the national championship next year is the plan.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
What was your average time?
So our finals, we were, I knew you were going to ask me. 23-ish. Yeah, so they improved from SEMA, and we ran into a few issues there, which is pretty common in engine building. So they run about 18 minutes here in the shop. But
So what does that mean? 18 minutes to do what?
Yeah, I guess some of you may not be aware of it. So they basically take a fully dressed out 350 small block Chevy and they tear it all the way down and then rebuild it with torque specs, and there's a bunch of rules and things like that. So.
In 18 minutes.
Yep.
Take the cam out and everything?
Cam and crank come out, yep.
Okay.
Or no, cam stays in, sorry. Cam and crank
Cam-
stay in,
okay.
but pistons come out, everything
Gotcha.
else comes
Okay.
out, so.
Wow.
Now I'm speaking a foreign language like that stuff we were hearing earlier, so.
Let's phonetically sound it out.
Yeah, sound it out for you.
I just want
I
to say,
thank you for your education,
Yep.
leadership. in
Yes,
that.
thank you guys for your support to allowing us to go on these trips. And obviously, people cringe when I say, "Oh yeah, I take them to Vegas," but it's all good. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
You. Wow, we've packed a lot into this meeting already.
I know.
That was all good, really good stuff. Moving on, I think next is personnel.
Yes. We have a hire, Kara Lampinin will be joining Lakeshore as a speech language pathologist beginning on January 22nd for the start of the second semester. Just going to read through this. This has been a long journey for us to secure a candidate, and we couldn't have been happier with Kara. She received her bachelor's degree from Northern Michigan University and her master's from Eastern. She and her family are relocating from Illinois to Southwest Michigan this month. So it works out really, really well for all involved. So we're excited.
Wonderful. Board members, any questions? If not, oh yeah, go ahead.
Just, sorry. So we currently are utilizing an online service to meet our needs in speech and language, and it really is, it's working out okay, but we're at least one full staff member down, and this would be a great addition to our team. So it's great to have those services in person.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to superintendent informational report. Mr. Eating.
The holiday season is here. Buildings have a lot of red, green, and white in them. Staff lounges have a lot of great food, and the auditorium seems to be filled up every single day with groups for music and dance concerts. It's really kind of a lot of fun this time of year. As a district, the end of the calendar year provides us with a chance to consider the amazing year we have experienced and to consider some of our opportunities for the future. Over this past year, we have had some major accomplishments in the district. We passed a $19.9 million bond that will cover basic priority needs at all district buildings. Tonight was a good example of our work moving forward there. We hired 6 new administrators, which included 2 new positions to oversee human resources and communications and curriculum instruction. And in conjunction with the Lakeshore Excellence Foundation, we committed $1 million to fund several projects that will impact each and every student in our district, and really kind of a fun end to the entire calendar year at this moment. As we look to our future, we see many opportunities. The district will begin a process to develop a new strategic plan in February with the hope of a completed plan by summer. This will involve feedback from our staff, students, parents, and the community. The district will also be asking voters to renew a sinking fund millage in May that supports ongoing maintenance projects throughout the district. This is a very important vote as it affects all facilities and grounds within the district. 2024 will definitely be an exciting year of opportunity for us. And finally, I would like to encourage everyone to do 3 things before this calendar year runs out. Go out and attend a holiday event. There's all kinds of them to go to. If you can find yourself a ticket, which they are hard to come by, go to a high school choir or band or dance concert. Second, do something that's outside your comfort zone and is helpful to others. Maybe it's a random act of kindness, like paying for the meal of the person behind you in the drive-thru, or maybe it's shoveling a neighbor's driveway. And third, find time to relax and enjoy the time of year. Don't let the time speed on by. Grab a walk, or take a walk, grab a hot chocolate, and enjoy yourself. 2024 is going to be here in just a couple minutes, it feels like. Thank you.
Isn't that the truth? Moving on to our Board of Education reports. First is Facilities and Finance, and since I am the only board member here that was also at the Facilities and Finance Committee, I will read that report. On Tuesday, December 5th, the Facilities and Finance Committee met, consisting of myself, Griffin Ott, Tracy Althouse, Greg Eating, and Kevin Bouchou. Items discussed, but not limited to, include the following. Tracy presented the monthly financials, and nothing of concern was noted. Tracy also discussed the receipt of excess equity from RESA and various grants, which will be included in our next budget amendment. Greg briefly discussed the strategic action planning the board participated in the evening before, and Greg also discussed our CTE program and future administrative opportunities. Next is the report from the Policy Committee. Mr. Allen, could you share that, please?
Policy Committee met on Thursday, December 7th. The committee discussed the upcoming Neola update, as well as some slight changes in policy that will need to happen due to some law changes and district administration changes. There will likely be several policy updates that will come to the board in January.
Are you all going to flip a coin for who gets to read all of those? You gotta-
Actually, we have some new information that we can provide just an overall synopsis of it.
Oh.
And not have to read through the whole thing.
Oh, man, Bill.
That's new information from MASB.
Don't you wish that would have happened a few months ago? I think that was it in terms of committee reports. Next up is talking about the governance standards. So at a special board meeting last week, the board discussed governance standards recommended by MASB, or the Michigan Association of School Boards, for both the Board of Education and the individual board members, and we will vote on adopting those standards this evening. And so for those of you who weren't here last week for our special board meeting where we talked about these, I will just read these governance standards just so that you know what they are. So the Board of Education governance standards for the entire board. The Board of Education, in cooperation with the superintendent and stakeholders, establishes and commits to a vision for the school district that emphasizes high expectations for achievement of all students and quality instruction. The Board of Education governs in a manner that is dignified and worthy of trust. The Board of Education is accountable to the school district community. And the Board of Education holds the superintendent accountable for creating the outcomes identified in the school district plan. And then there were also governance standards for each of us as individual school board members. The individual school board member is motivated by and focuses on what is in the best interest of all students. The individual school board member believes in the importance of and actively engages in lifelong learning. The individual school board member understands and respects both the authority and responsibilities of the Board of Education. And lastly, the individual school board member approaches school governance work with a spirit of inquiry. And we did have a lot of discussion about these and talked about what these mean for us on a day-to-day basis and how we live these out in our roles as board members. And very proud of the conversation and excited for us to hopefully vote on adopting these as our standards tonight. So any other comments from other board members?
Just a public thank you to you and Mr. Eating for helping spur this, this endeavor. So thank you.
Well, and I will repeat what I said last week. You laid the foundation for all of this, so thank you. All right. Were you good? If there are no other comments, then I would accept a motion to approve our governance standards.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and were there any public comment for tonight? No. Okay, then the last thing for us to do is move to go into closed session so that we can complete the superintendent evaluation for the end of this calendar year. So I would accept a motion to move into closed session.
So moved.
Support.
And this is a roll call vote, so Mr. Scaletta?
Aye.
Dr. Beckrow?
Aye.
Mrs. Von Koenig?
Aye.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you all for coming.